During our travels in Southeast Asia, I discovered a wonderful new culture. Well, new to me at least. And that was the Peranakan, or Straits Chinese. Their food is wonderful. If you want to find out what I learned, stick around. I'm Thomas Robson. This is Entree to Asia. If you ever go to Singapore, one aspect of their culture that you must seek out is Peranakan cuisine. Now, what is Peranakan? Simply put, Chinese merchants of old intermarried with Malay and local Indian families in order to be better involved in the lucrative spice trade and other commerce of the region. One of the results of this intermarriage was the cuisine of these new Peranakan families. And it's out of this world. In fact, it's an excellent example of real fusion cuisine created more than a century ago by families rather than restaurants. Here we are at Tekka Market with Devagi Changan. She's an expert on local cuisines, and in particular today with us, she's going to share her knowledge about Peranakan culture.
First, I'll bring you to the spice shop.
Sure.
And I'll show you some of the ingredients that are used in Peranakan cooking.
Excellent.
You look at this. This is actually a bean curd sheet that is used in a lot of Peranakan dishes. They are actually the cream of the soya milk that's dried. And then we normally soak it in water for a while, soften it, and then chop it up into pieces and use it in a vegetable stew that we call chop chai. And you look inside here, actually it has got golden needles.
Lily buds, lily flowers.
That's right. And he also has got some black fungus.
Black?
Fungus.
Oh, okay.
And
there it is, black fungus.
Yes. And some vermicelli, glass vermicelli, you can see here.
Okay, we know those as mung bean noodles.
That's right. We also call it a glass vermicelli. These are usually used in a lot of Peranakan stewed dishes, you know. Right? And have you seen these nuts before?
Yeah, I forget the name of them though. What do you call them?
It's called candle nuts.
Okay.
Or kemiri in Indonesia, and buak ras among the Malays and the Peranakans. This is actually ground into a paste and used to thicken curries. Now, this is the shop that I would come to buy all my tofu products.
Right.
See, he has things like tempeh, which is, have you seen a tempeh?
I've heard of it.
Yeah?
It's quite the ultimate vegetarian food is what I've heard.
That's right. They call it the vegetarian meat.
Wow. Oh, it smells amazingly fresh and delicious. It looks like it's almost grown on the leaf.
That's right. It's the molds that grow on it.
Oh, so it's like a nutritional fungus.
That's right. It's a nutritional fungus.
That's amazing. And the base is?
Soya.
Whoa. Now, is this used much in Peranakan cooking?
It's used a lot in Peranakan cooking and Malay cooking. And then, of course, if you can see here, we have a range of sambals here. Sambals are actually chili paste. These are all cooked sambals.
I see my favorite.
Yeah?
Sambal belacan.
That's right.
Made with shrimp paste, right?
A real Peranakan condiment.
Wow.
And
this one?
is chili paste, but which is not cooked. So, you know, one would bring this home and then fry this in oil, whereas this is already cooked.
Oh, but you buy a big bag like that, that's got to last a long time.
Yes, we can keep it in the fridge for up to 3 months.
Right. So would you use it sort of like a half cup at a time, or?
No, it depends on what you're using. You can use from 1 teaspoon to the whole packet.
Wow. Amazing.
That's right. And this one, it's what we locally call as chin chow.
Okay.
It's grass, or what you say, seaweed. Right.
So it's not just grass from the fields. I've heard of grass jelly before, so it's seagrass jelly.
Seagrass, that's right. And the Chinese actually buy this and They chop this into very fine pieces, mix it with sugar syrup and serve it with crushed ice. And it's supposed to be cooling to the system.
All right, so sort of that yin and yang, heat and cold
That's right.
balance, that's
right.
medicinally important.
Medicine important. And look at all this, we have the dried bean curd. This is used for the laksa, the Peranakan laksa, which we call it.
So these aren't fried, these are dried.
Dried, yes. Smoke dried, actually.
Smoke dried tofu.
And this is fried.
All right, and these are like little puffs.
Yeah. Here we have a lot of herbs that we use for a lot of Peranakan, Indonesian, Malay cooking. Here you have the what we call the Indian pennywood.
Okay.
Yeah. This is actually widely used among the Peranakans and the Indians. It's actually a creeper that grows on the ground, and we would make salads out of this.
Wow.
Without the stalk, or put all this into a liquidizer, blend it into a juice and drink it. And there's a belief that 2 leaves a day would actually give you good memory.
Good memory?
Yeah.
Oh, what a great idea.
You can see here we have lemongrass.
Right.
And you know how lemongrass is always used just the bottom 5 centimeters. We either slice it or pound it. And this is usually cut and discarded, but I would use this to put it into my bowl of potpourri. Okay,
so if you want to use the lemongrass in a salad, let's say, the bottom 5 centimeters or so, that's going to be the tenderest inside.
That's right.
And for your curries and soups and whatnot, use the upper lengths.
We actually use the bottom, maximum use is with the bottom here. The rest we can actually throw that away.
Okay.
We don't actually make use of it. And look at that. Huge galangal.
I hate to say it, but it looks like a musical instrument somehow.
That's right. This is widely used in a lot of our local cuisines. This is a machine that grinds the coconut actually. And it's easy for us to just get grated coconut any time of the day. You just come to a shop and you buy this grated coconut.
So this way, the process of choosing an appropriate coconut, that's solved.
Yeah.
Nowadays, one of the best places to sample traditional Peranakan fare is at the family-run Blue Ginger restaurant in Singapore. The recipes here have been handed down from generation to generation, ensuring the genuine Peranakan taste is still alive. This restaurant here, although it's part of a rare food style, is actually renowned throughout the city as one of the best. I'm going to hand over the reins to Vivian Lien, the Peranakan food consultant here at the restaurant, and the representative of her family's unique style of cooking. Chef Wee is going to perform the actual cooking, and they're going to tell us all about this special Peranakan style. Vivian?
Right. Now today we are going to do what we call it a sambal sotong. Actually, sotong means calamari, and here are the ingredients. We have to be blended will be shallot, candle nuts, and dried chili, which has to be soaked first to make it soft. And we will have to prepare 1 golf size of tamarind and some big onion to be sauteed later. All these to be blended, 1, 2, 3. Then we need sugar and salt. And this is actually what you have after the blend. All right, and the calamari is cut into rings. And now my chef will show you how it is done.
Just one question before we start cooking, Vivian. The bowl with the liquid there, just between the rempah, the spice paste, and the salt, what is that?
This one is this.
So after you take a golf ball sized piece of tamarind pulp, soak it and strain it then?
Yeah.
So what you've got there is just the tamarind juice for the cooking. Fantastic. Well, let's fry.
All right, you have to heat the pan first. Wait for the oil to be hot, and you put it down. Fry your rempah till it's fragrant. And as you cooked and it's fragrant, you can put in your big onions for saute. You can smell it now. It's nice and fragrant. You put in your calamari. Big fire for 1 minute stir fry. Otherwise, do not overcook. It becomes chewy. This is the tamarind juice from here. This has been soaked. All right.
Not very much then.
It depends. If you would like to have more sauce, you add in more tamarind juice. It's up to one's taste. If you like it to be nice and thick in gravy, you just add less of it.
Okay. If you use more tamarind juice, do you add more sugar to the sauce to balance the sourness?
Yes, it's all right. It's up to, I think, is it 120? Yeah.
So really then it's just personal taste?
Yes. Actually, cooking is to one's taste. This is sugar and your salt.
Looks like about a tablespoon of sugar.
2 tablespoons is all in the recipe book.
Fantastic. Remember, to get these recipes, you can always write to us or dial us up on our webpage, and we'll tell you more about Peranakan cuisine and culture.
All right, it's done. Would you like to taste it?
Of course, absolutely.
Well, I'll get a plate.
I could taste, oh yeah, let's serve it on a plate here. Fantastic.
Use the chopstick for garnish.
There, now the plate was turned to me, so unfortunately you couldn't smell the aroma that was directed right at me here, but perhaps after we garnish it, we'll bring it closer to the camera and we'll try and beat physics. That's so beautiful.
All right.
Now,
It's for you to taste.
as in the local tradition, no fuss, no muss. Serve the dish right away. Get it to the table to please your friends, your customers, your family. Wow, very unique flavor. Excuse me for talking with my mouth full, but of course, a lovely spicy dish. The tamarind has this sweetness and a sourness. It's just amazing. Vivian, your chef, he's classically trained in Cantonese and Western cookery,
Yes.
but he was lucky enough to run up with your family, and you taught him how to cook Peranakan food.
Yes, that's right. We wanted a person who really does not know, so that he will have the real authentic taste for our food.
Is it true that an important part of Peranakan culture is the family taste? Each family has its own traditions, and so therefore you've continued your family tradition.
right.
And understand that your 2 aunts
Yes.
were famous cooks in their own right in their
That's
time.
right. That's right.
This is why the Blue Ginger is such a famous local restaurant. It's not just a style that can be found anywhere. It's a family tradition that you have here. Can you tell us a little bit more about Peranakan culture and maybe the reason for the name of the restaurant?
All right. Actually, the Blue Ginger is a translation of the Malay word lengkuas and the Hokkien word lam kiong. We wanted to have the English name so that we will be known as Peranakan. If we have it as lengkuas, one would think that we are a Malay restaurant. And if we say lam kiong, one would think that we are a Chinese restaurant. The Peranakans are influenced by the British, so that's why we like to keep the English name of the Blue Ginger.
What on earth am I doing? Well, I'm making a Rempah, a spice paste mixture for Southeast Asian cooking. This Rempah is a dish that I learned how to make at the Blue Ginger, and it's based on candle nuts or kamiri nuts. Now you can find them in a bag like this, and they resemble very much a macadamia nut. And in fact, a macadamia nut is a great substitute for these kamiri, that's the traditional name, or candle nuts. I've pounded up, or just about finished pounding up, 3 of these nuts now. And I'm using a very traditional Southeast Asian spice grinder. This one is from Indonesia. You can use all different kinds of mortar and pestle and small food grinders to achieve the same result, but it's fun working with the authentic tool. Now the next ingredient in this rempah is some finely diced shallot onions. These are the lovely little red onions with a nice brown peel on them. And they're very popular throughout Southeast Asia in all the cooking of the region. It's great to work with this tool here. This is an amazing grinder. It produces a smooth, even puree very quickly. Right away, we can go into the following ingredient, which is some fresh garlic. Let's get all of it in there. It's so good. So many of the Southeast Asian seasoning pastes start out the same way, with delicious aromatic ingredients such as garlic, ginger, chilies, and so on. And the idea behind the spice paste is to fry it in oil to capture all the volatile flavorings in these ingredients, keep them in the dish via the oil. Now we'll keep grinding here for a moment, but let's add in some fresh red chilies. Now look at this. Here's a beauty. It's quite large, and what that means to me is it has more flavor than it does have heat. In any case, we took away some of the seeds so that you don't get that incredible heat, because of course it's through the seeds and the ribs of the chili that the heat is transmitted to the food. Remember that when you're making a spice paste or any other kind of Southeast Asian food, or for that matter Southwestern food with chilies in it, keep the seeds and the ribs away, and you can keep all the chili flavor that you want in your dish. Now, a Peranakan grandmother might say, oh, the rempah has to be fine and silky smooth. But in reality, in the modern day, when you're busy and you want to save some time, it doesn't matter really how fine your rempah is, because frankly, I think a nice rustic, coarse texture to the paste has a certain charm, a nice appeal to it. Here's a very important dish, a very important ingredient in Southeast Asian cooking, particularly the Malay and the Thai, and that is shrimp paste. The Malaysians call their shrimp paste belacan, and they sell it in blocks like this. This is a popular brand, Jeffy brand, and I've taken a nice slice of this shrimp paste and I'm going to pound it into my rempah. Day 2. As many times as I've been to Southeast Asia, there's always something new to intrigue and amaze me. This time it was Singapore and the Peranakan culture. The Peranakan are sometimes referred to here as the Straits Chinese, so called because of the intermarriage between the Malay and Chinese traders of long ago. This unique culture is in danger of dying out, and that's why this museum is one of the only places left where we can see how the Peranakan people once lived. The community is now very small, and few modern Singaporeans even know of its original prestige. Even so, I find it encouraging to see that aspects of this once influential culture are still evident in present-day restaurants. What was it that Shakespeare once said? What's past is prologue. Okay, well, our rempah is ready now, and I'm just going to transfer it onto this little dish so that it can be handy right at the stove side. Before we continue though, there's another ingredient I'd like to tell you about, and this one's pretty significant in Southeast Asian cookery. It's tamarind. Now this is the fruit of a tree, and the pods, unfortunately, are filled with fibers and seeds. This is what it looks like inside the package. And what you're looking for is tamarind that is quite soft and pliable, because what you're going to do with this is take a lump out of the package, put it into some hot water, and then you mush it around with your hands. Get both hands in there, move it about, break it up. Let it sit for a little while. The next step is easy. Take a strainer, any strainer will do, and pour the tamarind juice through the strainer. Drain it well. What's left behind in the strainer gets thrown out. We're done with that. What's left is what we call tamarind water. You can make quite a bit of this ahead of time, divide it up into 1-cup portions, and freeze it and put it away. It'll keep wonderfully like that, or even in your fridge. As for the rest of the ingredients for our dish, our sambal mussels, well, they're right over here by the stove. I'll fire up the wok, we're going to put in some oil. The idea here is we're going to fry the rempah, our seasoning paste, in hot oil to capture all of its flavors, all the aromatic compounds that are in here. This will make an amazing smell, one that is mouth-watering. After our rempah is fried, we'll add the tamarind water. We'll bring that to a boil, and then you'll see what comes next. Really, it only takes a few short seconds to fry the rempah adequately, and to me, this looks perfect right here. In goes the tamarind water, and let's not be crazy. I'm not using all of it. I'm using, about 3/4 of a cup. That's beautiful, eh? That means, Tom, turn down the heat. Okay, we've got this up to a lovely boil. In go our New Zealand green shell mussels. Now these mussels are a real treat. You don't have to have green shell mussels. Any other kind of mussel will do. And for that matter, any other kind of seafood will do as well. Just remember, keep the cooking time in proportion to what you're actually cooking. I mix the mussels around to balance the heat, that is to say, so that cold mussels aren't on top and hot ones down on the bottom. Get them mixed into our seasoning paste. Bring it back up to the boil just a little bit and add a dash of fish sauce. That's all that's needed. The next step is to put on a lid so that we can steam the mussels until they open. That takes a very, very short while. And for that, we can really turn up the heat. Now I'll get ready over here. The next couple of ingredients are simple ones. We need to add some sugar to balance out the heat, and we're going to add some coconut milk, but only at the end, and the richest part of the coconut milk at that. It'll give a nice creamy texture and consistency to the sauce. A little bit of fresh Thai basil leaves are going to be added, and this is not because it's a Thai dish, this is a very Peranakan dish. But the Peranakan culture used all the different spices from throughout Southeast Asia, and they welcome the use of the Thai basil because it has such a wonderful, wonderful flavor. I'm going to have a peek and see if these are done yet. Ooh, they're well on their way. One thing to remember when you're working in wok cookery, if you have a good strong source of heat, don't be afraid to bring the heat up and then lower it again as you're cooking. If things seem to get out of hand, lower the heat. If it's not going hot enough, bring it back up. That's the real secret in Cantonese and other styles of wok cookery. Okay. I want to look, but you want to leave the cover on so that they really open. But for the purpose of television here, let's have a peek and see where we are. Oh, yes. Beautiful. We'll put this down. Give this a little toss to mix up all the ingredients. Look how the rempah and the seasoning paste and the tamarind water has reduced. Here's our coconut milk, the richest part, or the cream as we call it. Turn down the heat. Now, there's about 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, and you really are going to need that sugar to balance out this dish. And finally, some Thai basil leaves. Believe it or not, this dish is done at this point, and all that needs to be done here is to serve it up after mixing in all these last few ingredients. Oh, that looks so beautiful. So fragrant and aromatic. Yes. Here we are. We're going to come over to our serving plate, over to my left here. Oh, do you hear that? What a dramatic sound. What a lovely aroma. And then let's work like a real chef would in a real kitchen. Let's tidy up the edge of our plate with a napkin. Just a nice little tidy there. And then for our garnish, well, how can you go wrong but with a few green chilies, a few red chilies, and a few of these lovely orange chilies. Whatever comes to mind for you, for a garnish will be fine. Work with what nature provides us to make a beautiful dish. And there we have Peranakan sambal mussels. Yummy. our quests in Entree to Asia is to discover more about how East meets West, or fusion cuisine. Peranakan culture, though, has taught us that fusion has been going on for a long time. It's something that we can participate in, and that's something I'd like to share more with you next time on Entree to Asia. I'm Thomas Robson.
To find out more about Entree to Asia, including recipes and program descriptions, visit our website at www.entreetoasia.com.